Hey everyone, it is Friday. That means it's Chat with Mac. We're glad to have you with us. For those of you that are constantly watching us and giving feedback, thank you so much. We appreciate you. For those of you that are new to what we do, welcome, welcome, welcome. Nadeem, how's it going, sir?
Oh, going great.
Yeah.
How has your day been?
It actually wasn't that bad for it to be a Friday. I think we're getting more and more people, especially with the CO webinar that we have coming up. We
Yeah.
have more and more people that are interested in learning learning how to do not necessarily technical things, but how to align their business and align their technology with their business. So some pretty decent phone calls in that regard. As a matter of fact, one of the things that has been of great interest, and it kind of falls in line with what we've been talking about in the security, as far as security is concerned. Now, there's this concept that you were talking to me about, left of boom and right of boom. Now, I'm relatively new to the whole term, and from what I'm hearing, a lot of MSPs are talking about it. Security has become top of mind for everyone, and if it isn't, you obviously don't like your business. But I was wondering, maybe you can, kind of talk to us a little bit more about that, because it's a matter of great significance now.
Yeah. Any company out there that's been talking to MSPs and stuff, you've probably heard about talk about left of boom and right of boom. And a lot of MSPs are just using the words to be using the words. IT people, they love acronyms, and I guess it makes them feel good. Bottom line is, there are certain things that any IT provider needs to do before a breach happens, right? So anything that is before a breach happens, that is left of boom. Right. So in English language, you go from left to right. So you start from the left. All the preparation that you do, that is left of boom. And then boom is the breach. And then anything that you do after the breach is right of boom. Right. So all of your damage control and recovery and all of that is right of boom. All the preparation and procedures and all that is left of boom.
Mm.
So there are two very distinct areas that any MSP out there has to work with and has to have processes in place for both sides. So left of boom and right of boom.
Mm.
From a security perspective, this is very important that the security team understands what do they have to do left of boom, and then what they have to do right of boom. And it varies by customer, right? So we can't just take what somebody in, for example, manufacturing is doing and implement that for a financial company or for a retail company. They're very different types of companies. And even in the same industry, a lot of times we see that even in the same industry, the process and procedure varies from company to company.
Mm.
So when we and people out there may not know this, we've kind of been doing this in stealth mode. But while we've been developing our SOC and SIEM and all that, we've been kind of working on building that. We've kind of dug in pretty deep on all of these concepts and what IT companies specifically have to do before a breach happens and after a breach happens, and then have documentation around that, have process, because the last thing that you want to do or that anybody wants to do after a breach happens or when a breach happens, and make a note, I'm saying when a breach happens. I'm not saying if a breach happens. It's when a breach happens. You have to have processes in place beforehand. You don't want to be trying to figure out what to do when a breach happens.
Right.
Right? Your team should not be trying to figure out what to do when a breach happens.
Right.
They should already know. It's like, oh, this is boom. I have my checklist. This is what I'm going to do. Or, hey, customer so and so, this is their checklist left of boom. We got to have this in place. We got to have who's our simple things. A lot of times, when we onboard a new customer, they may have been working with another MSP or an IT provider for years and years. And we ask them, who's our point of contact as far as security goes? And they're like, what do you mean? And it's like, well, when there is a breach, who is going to be our point of contact at the customer site? And this is a new concept to them. And it's like, guys, it's like, well, you guys are the IT guys, so you guys handle it. It's like, hey, we as an IT provider cannot handle this for. That's like saying, hey, you guys are helping us out do this, this, and this, so you guys handle the CFO functions. It doesn't work like that. Right. Or you guys set the strategy for our business. It's like, no, it doesn't work like that. Business, upper management has to dictate to IT what their long-term strategy is, and then IT consults based on that what to do, how to get there. But right. We need that vision, right?
Right.
And we need that point of contact when a breach happens. Who is going to be our primary point of contact? Who is going to be secondary? Because a lot of times you can't get a hold of the primary contact. Who's going to be secondary, right? So at most customers where, especially FCO customers, we know our point of contacts. In a small business or typically in a small business, usually the point of contact is either the owner or the CFO, right? There's not a lot of delegation, so there's not a lot of people involved as far as points of contact. But even for companies where we are doing the CIO functions, we have to have a point of contact inside the company, right? That has to be somewhere upper management. And the reason I say it has to be upper management is because when breach happens, that person has to be a person of authority. That person has to be able to say, hey, this is what we need to know. This is how it's going to be. Not trying to say like you get some pushback from users and you relent and say, okay, well, we won't do this. We'll do it this way. When a breach happens, there's a lot of legalities involved. So you want to make sure whoever is the point of contact has authority. So it's not just by name. It has to have, that role has to have some authority. And it's amazing that a lot of customers, a lot of prospects don't even know this. And it's like a new concept to them. It's like, wait a minute, why do I need a point of contact when you're my IT guys? You guys handle it. We can't just handle it. That's like, I mean, that's like, oh, well, you guys just run my business for me. Well, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
So, you can have somebody do your bookkeeping. You can have somebody manage your IT, but you cannot have somebody be the point of contact during a breach or be somebody who gives you the long-term vision for the company or do business planning for. That's not how it works. I mean, even coaches who do business planning, they don't give you the plan. They help you come up with the plan. They help you plan. They don't just, hand you something. Like, they're not going to say, oh, do this, this, and this. They're going to say, hey, what is your vision? They're going to help you reach your vision. And that's why you're the visionary. The business owner is the visionary, or the upper management, the group that gives the company direction is the visionary. So anyway, we're getting off track. So the thing is, we need to have points of contact in the company. These points of contact have to have some authority. And to the right of boom, we work, like any IT company out there should work very closely with the point of contact, the security point of contact. And this is true not just from a security point of view, but also from a disaster point of view, disaster recovery point of view. I mean, all these different things, IT providers can only do so much. And then you have to get some direction from a decision maker at the customer site. There is no other way around it.
So let's, in the time that we have, as far as this is concerned. Why has this always been a thing that should be implemented, or is this something that is, I don't want to say relatively new, because of course security should always be top of mind, but it just seems like uh, maybe maybe with all that has happened within the last, what's that, 2 years, I would think as a business owner, I would think that this is something that I have lock stock. I know who the decision maker. We know the chain of command. What I'm seeing when we make these calls to these business owners is, it's like what you said. There's this big hands off type of attitude where, well, do you know such and such? Oh, I don't handle that. My IT, I handle that. It's like, whoa. So I guess my question is, what you're describing as far as the right of boom, the left of boom, with the terminology and all that other good stuff, has it always been there and we just never really paid attention? Or, yeah.
Yeah, so the concept is not new. I mean, we've been
Okay.
working with this
Okay.
concept for several years. I mean, ever since we started offering, some of the security services. So the concept is not new. I think the question is, why are business owners hearing these terms now?
Well, I mean,
And that is because the IT people are now talking about it because there have been so many incidents, and the industry as a whole is changing. Not IT. IT is the same as it has been. Things around IT are changing. For example, insurance. Like cyber insurance guys. These guys are now asking business owners, "Hey, what is your strategy to the right of boom?" And they don't know. They've never heard of that term before. Okay, so I want to see your procedures for a security breach. They don't know. Who's your point of contact for a security breach? And then they get granular from there. But the thing is that these terms are now coming up because the industry as a whole is more cognizant of, hey, breaches happen. It's a fact. It's a way of life. It's not a matter of, and typically IT companies, any IT company out there should go on the concept of assume breach. They should always assume breach and then set up their processes around that. Not that you are going to prevent a breach from happening. Remember what happened with Netscape? The day the CEO said, "Oh, we are unbreakable, we are hack proof," the next day they got hacked. So assume that breach is going to happen. Look at it this way. If companies like Microsoft, Apple, Google, IBM, if these companies cannot prevent breaches, how can a small company with a fraction of the budget prevent a breach? It's not going to happen. So the thing is not just that you get it in your head that, oh, we're not going to have a breach because we're so small, or just because everybody likes us. That's not the way to think about it. The way to think about it is always assume that a breach is going to happen and have your process to accommodate for that, right? And that's what the cyber insurance companies are now asking. That's why, and I've heard this term from insurance companies and agents where they are now starting to talk about assume breach concept and left of boom, right of boom. And a lot of times, especially security people, they'll just say it, not thinking twice about it. Okay, I want to see your process to the left of boom. And even the IT guy at a customer site is like looking, giving that deer in headlight look. It's like, what the, and of course the IT guy doesn't want to come across as he doesn't know what
doesn't
it
know.
meant. He's just
Right.
trying to figure out what could it mean. You should ask if you don't try to assume something around that. First of all, people who are using these terms should not be using these terms. But the reason we are talking about it is because there are a lot of companies out there using these terms, and a lot of times people don't know what it is. So business owners, decision makers out there, left of boom is all the preparation up to the breach. And then right of boom is everything that happens and you have to do after the breach. And let's be clear, that breach, the boom, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. Don't assume that you're so special that it's not going to happen to you. Nobody's that special.
Nobody.
These hackers, these bad guys, they don't care. So that's the thing. We are hearing more about it just because there is, the whole industry is just talking about it. There's been so many breaches, so much activity, both good and bad. I mean, there was bad activity, with all the pipeline and the beef plant and all these breaches. But then there was some good. The agencies caught the bad guys. Some of these bad guys, some of these groups have been disbanded. So there was both good and bad news. But the thing is, now these concepts and terms are coming into the common language. And I'm thinking pretty soon here, probably in the next few years or so, these are going to be regular dictionary terms.
Yep.
Left of boom, right of boom. Yep. And I think, a lot of, I don't want to name any names, but I was going to talk about where this term, or how this term was made more common, but let's not talk names. But the thing is, the concept is there. And, I try not to use a lot of acronyms and terminologies and things like that, because I think when people use a lot of acronyms when they know the other person does not know or about them, it's more of a trying to portray that you're smarter than they are, or it's almost like it has nothing to do with smarts. You can teach a monkey what boom is. You can teach a monkey what left of boom is, or what left and right is, right? I mean, so that's not, so I try to break it down into terms that business owners can understand. At the end of the day, these guys are very smart. They built something out of nothing, right? They may say, hey, I'm not going to use their terminology, but I've had people, business owners say, I'm just so and so from a certain university. I don't know what I'm doing, but they may pretend that way. But these are smart people.
Yeah.
So I want to break down things into what everybody can understand. And my thinking is that if I cannot make a 6-year-old understand what I'm talking about, then I don't know it well enough myself.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that all of us at PCSN talk about is, we need to understand technology so well that we can relate and have a conversation with a 6-year-old. The 6-year-old might be bored to tears, but hey, at least they understand what we're talking about. So that's what the left of boom and right of boom is, and you may be hearing a lot more about it, as time goes on, and that's that's what's going on, and it's we're going to have more terms that people are going to have to kind of understand, and this is just something that I've heard people talk a lot about. So we talked about this, and we wanted to talk about about it, what it means, because there's a lot of times when people just throw out these terms and people don't know what it is or what it means. And at the end of the day, make sure your processes and procedures are written down, rehearsed. Everybody knows what to do. It's like a fire drill. Just think of it like a fire drill. Or back in the day, didn't schools used to have these atomic bomb drills, or what do they call them?
Back in the really old days, where they had those type of drills.
Yeah. So
it was a preparedness drill. Yeah.
You gotta be prepared for it, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And when it does happen, if you've done everything to the left of boom, then you're ready for the boom. And then the boom happens, and then you do what you're supposed to do to the right of boom, which you've already got it written down. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You already know what to do. Your team, your people already know what to do. So that Jack and Sally who's in the office working on the weekend when the boom happens, those users already know what to do. They don't have to scramble to figure out, I need to call the owner in the middle of the night because I don't know what's happening here, or I need to know who should I call. No, they should already know what to do.
Yeah.
And especially, companies like us where, we have our own security branch, and we have to work very closely with customers and prospects. I mean, we're providing these services to a lot of other MSPs, and a lot of these MSPs might be smaller MSPs. Maybe they're just starting out, or maybe they're just small MSP, and that's why they're kind of having somebody else do the security. So we need to make them understand these concepts and get this information from their customers. So we're just the guys behind the scenes where we are training them on what to do and how to do it and what information we need and where that information needs to go and how to handle things to prepare for that boom, and then what to do post boom to the right of boom. So, but yeah, I've and I don't know if people knew about this. I think we may have talked about it a little bit. After a while it just becomes a blur. But so we've been working for about I would say a little over a year now, where we've been developing the SOC and that entire team, and we're just coming out of stealth now, and I know a lot of customers, who are on some of the older plans, have gotten notices and stuff, and I've gotten some questions around it. Like, security comes at a cost. It's a huge cost to have experts in security, man a data center, a security data center.
Yeah.
To understand and evaluate logs and systems to understand logs, log analytics, build a whole new business in a relatively new industry. And so there was a lot of that involved. But we're excited about it. It opens up a lot of avenues for us, because now not only can we help our end customers under the PCSN brand, but under another brand, we can help other MSPs do the things the right way and protect their customers. And at the end of the goal is to protect as many businesses as we can. And that's what we want to do, is use industry standards and protect as many businesses as we can.
But I think what people need to realize, and I think I not even I think I know based on just my interactions with business owners, is that I as a business owner would be very concerned if my MSP is stagnant and isn't really trying to be innovative as far as how they protect me as a business owner. I would kind of look at that as like, well, especially now with everything that's going on, I would have questions like, hey, so what are we doing to make sure this doesn't happen to us? And so when a business like PCSN, when we're trying to stay ahead of the curve, and now you really have to stay ahead of the curve. I mean, unless you've been under a rock with everything that's been going on, you have to. So it's one of those things where I'm looking at my MSP, the people that keep me secure, and saying, hey, they're doing whatever they need to do to make sure that if and when, well, not if, when this happens, I'm okay, because I know that they're going to handle it and we're going to be okay. Yeah. A lot of people, business owners, can't say that at all.
No. And I hear this. Actually, I have closed business on that point.
Yes.
I have closed business on that point where I remember, I'll be sitting across from the owner, and we'll be talking through this, and I'll present something, and I'll be like, okay, and this is our SOC and SIEM part, and this is what it's going to cost, and it might be $1,000, or depending on the size of the company, I'm just throwing out numbers, but $1,000 or whatever, $100 more than what they are used to paying, and then we break it down why the cost is there, and then the question becomes, well, our current MSP hasn't been doing that, and And my question to them is, so is that a good thing or a bad thing?
A bad thing, yeah.
How come your MSP has not approached you and told you that, hey, we cannot secure you without a SOC in place, without SIEM in place, and these are again terms, but security operations center. We have to have a full-fledged security operations center, and I'm a small MSP, so I don't have my own security center, but I'm gonna use these other guys, and this is what they're gonna charge me, and I can't pay out of my pocket to protect you, Mr. Customer. And but a lot of times, I've run into business and talked with the owner, and I've asked them, how come your MSP has not offered you this service?
Yeah.
It's because either they're not prepared,
Nope,
or they are afraid of that they're already not providing the amount of services that the customer is paying them for. How can they ask for more money to add more services?
yeah.
And so we do some coaching for other MSPs, and that comes out a lot, is like, hey, you cannot afford, and being in this industry, I can pretty much tell based on the what we call AISP. It's all in seat price, right? It's just a number that we use in the MSP world. It's one of your business numbers that you might have, net profit or whatever. It's AISP, all in seat price. Based on that, we can pretty much tell what kind of services and what level of services an MSP is offering. When that AISP is below $200, they don't have a SOC in place, a security operations center. They're not doing log analytics to figure out if there is a rogue process moving horizontally in your network, machine to machine. Or maybe it's moving horizontally and up and down, like into the cloud from your machines horizontally and then up into the cloud. You don't know unless you have log analytics in place and somebody is doing that actively. You don't know. It's almost like an ostrich with the head in the sand.
Yeah.
I'd rather know and not do anything about it instead of not know at all.
Yeah.
Like I want the option to know and then decide not to do anything about it. Right? I'd rather be in that position than not know to begin with.
Yep.
And it's the MSP's job to tell their customer, hey, Mr. Customer, you are not safe, and I cannot keep you safe at this all-in-seat price. So ask your MSP, find out what their all-in-seat price is.
Mm.
And if they are an MSP and they've been in the business for any length of time, they would know right off top of their head what their all-in-seat price is. If they don't, they're not an MSP.
There's just some.
There's a lot of 10-minute MSPs out there that have no clue. They love IT. They like working with computers. So all of a sudden they became an MSP. They have no idea how the business works, what the ins and outs. I mean, the business is maturing so fast.
Rapidly.
And on one side it's maturing so fast. On the other side, it's making it more and more difficult for the bar to entry has risen.
Yeah.
It's getting harder and harder for new MSPs to get into the business.
Yeah.
Because the business is maturing. And that's a good thing. I mean, that's a good thing, because what's going to happen in a few years is there's going to be a huge consolidation. A lot of these smaller MSPs are going to get gobbled up by bigger ones, or they're going to combine and merge and become big MSPs. There's only going to be a few big MSPs left in the world. That's just the way it is. Yeah. And so my question to every business owner out there is, if you have a managed service provider that is doing your routine tasks to make sure your IT infrastructure runs smoothly and keeps running smoothly, is ask them what the all-in-seat price. And you may not even have to ask them. I mean, you're paying these guys after all, so you should know what you're paying and how many users you have, and you should be able to work your way backwards and figure out what the all-in-seat price is. And some of you who have the all-in-seat price of like $90, $80, somewhere in there, I don't know what you guys are getting. And I would look deep at that MSP and figure out what their services are and what they're doing and how they're providing those services. Those days are gone. Maybe 5 years ago, it could have been okay at $90, but nowadays, with all the security and all the other stuff that an MSP has to do, your MSP has to be close to or over $200 to be able to provide the level of service that any business out there, I don't care if you're a 5-user business or a 100-user business, any business out there needs. So keep that in mind. Keep your MSP in check. And I encourage, we being an MSP, I encourage everybody I talk to, customers, everybody, hey, dig deep with your MSP. What are they providing? How are they providing? What is their tool stack? If something is too good to be true, like, if somebody's charging $90, that's too good to be true. What are they providing for that $90 per machine? What are they doing? We have MSPs in New York that, so I work with a group that MSPs all around the world, work with, and we have MSPs in New York who are like, at $90 and they're saying, oh, at $90 and we'll give you Office 365 as well. And it's like, what? How? What are you providing? Are you actually think about it. Just doing log analytics on one machine, that takes a lot of time and effort. And then not to mention, analytics is one thing. You will always find anomalies and remediation. You can't do that for $90 a month. It's just not possible.
Yeah. No.
And
no.
But so with that, we'll close with that. But I get fired up when we start talking about these things because we've worked with so many other IT companies and MSPs and customers, all around the world, and it's amazing how this doesn't happen often, but sometimes a customer can come to us and say, oh, but my current provider is charging me $90 a seat, and my question would be, so why are we talking again?
Right. Yeah.
90. If everything was fine at $90 a seat, then we shouldn't be talking, right?
But
everything is fine. But $90, everything is not fine. They are missing a major portion of the tool stack that a mature MSP will bring to the table. And I'm not even talking about those MSPs that are 1 or 2 man shops and they go around and they play with their customers' networks. I've seen a few of those, like, a few years ago there used to be a lot more of those, but it'll be like, oh, my wife's blah 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 cousin's son, whatever, does IT, so he does our IT, and what they're doing is they're trying to figure out and get skill set, advance their own skill set on your network.
This is the worst thing you can do.
That's the worst.
Yeah, that's the
really
worst.
you're just a test bed for them where they can hone their skills and maybe find a good job or maybe get their business mature enough to where they can do something with it. But I think those are rare now. I haven't heard of that in a while now. So I think those days are kind of gone because the industry is just maturing.
Jesus.
but yeah, so always be asking your MSP what their tool stack consists of. Keep a close eye on all-in-seat pricing. If it's in this day and age going forward, it has to be $200 or over. It cannot be less than $200. 180, 190. Maybe they don't have certain components in the stack, but once you complete the stack, once an MSP completes their stack, it's going to be $200 or a little over $200. There's no way around that. So if you're thinking, you're getting a hell of a deal because you're only paying $90 a seat, The your all-in seat price is $90, and that includes Office licenses. That includes, all this other software. You're not getting what you think you're getting.
No. No.
So I think, Mac, with that, we'll close it. We've given a lot to a lot of people to think about. We started with left of boom, right of boom. We went all the way to AISP. And just to throw more terms out there, MSPs talking about AISP and all this.
But it's usable. So
yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, don't forget the 18th. All my CEOs, business owners, this is only for you. We want you there. Yeah, please register.
So February 18th, folks, 9:00. We're going to have the CEO webinar. And the reason why Mac keeps saying it's CEOs only, business owners only, we are going to talk business. We're going to talk figures. We're going to talk numbers, how it relates to business. We're not going to talk tech. So if you're an IT admin, you don't need to be there. You'll be bored. You'll just want to, not kill yourself, but you won't be happy. So business owners, you'll be happy because we won't be talking tech. We won't be talking terms. We will be talking numbers and business. That's what we'll be talking. And there's going to be a few things that I bet your competition is doing that you're not. And we're going to tell you what those are.
Yeah. So
I think with that, Mac, we'll close it. Everybody have a great day. It's been a long day for me. It's past 6:00. So I don't think this video is going to go out today, but so probably tomorrow. So until next time, everybody, have an awesome day, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.